Welcome to European Railway, the video magazine for the continental enthusiast. In this programme, we pay a second visit to the Polish industrial region around Katowice and the freight line around Tarnowskie Gory. A journey is made to the south of Spain and the important regional junction town of Bobadilla. A second visit is made to the Rouen area of northern France, with action from around the main marshalling yard around Sotteville. Lineside action from the southeast area of the Czech Republic. A study of train activity in central Austria. And finally, a look at the past and present railway scene from around the East German town of Zeitz. In European Railway Issue 25, we paid the first of a two-part visit to the heavily industrialised region around Katowice. The city lies in the southern part of Poland, just north of the border with the Czech Republic. We chose the region around Tarnowskie Gory, located on a busy freight route to the north. Poland has well and truly joined the rest of Europe, where private operators are now seen in abundance, including, of course, UK-based Freightliner Heavy Haul. In this, our first view, an ST43 locomotive, number 060DA937, belonging to the firm PTKIGK, or the Rail Transport and Stone Management Company of Rybnik, heads west with an empty coal train. In 2005, this company hauled more than 52 million tonnes of freight. In the opposite direction, one of PKP's ubiquitous Class ET42 electrics heads this mixed freight. The former head of UK company EWS, Ed Burkhardt, set up Rail Polska in the 1990s. In 2003, it became an open access operator and now carries around 1.5 million tonnes of coal per year. SM31 number 083, operated by PKP, heads an engineer's train up the grade east of Tarnowskie Gory. Still in original green livery is this PKP M62 number ST44 1046, one of a good number of the class allocated to depots in the Katowice area. The Sulzer engine class ST41s produce quite a noise when on full power, as in this example. The Skoda-built ET40 twin-unit electrics date from 1978. There were 60 originally built, with the majority still in service with PKP. Another twin-unit loco, this time in the shape of an ET41, number 117. Here 2 privately operated ET41 electric locos work this westbound coal train. This line sees several workings each hour, with a wide variety of motive power. Coal and oil are the dominant commodities being shipped by rail in this area. In the opposite direction we see another type of twin-unit electric loco, this time type ET42. Again, like other classes of this design, they date from the late 1970s. Finally, ST44 number 1045 is seen storming the grade on the approach to Ortzek. Southern Spain has for many years been a popular tourist destination for British travellers, keen to sample the Mediterranean beaches and the endless hours of sun. In this section we take a look at the inland junction of Bobadilla, around 45 kilometres north of Malaga. The station lies on the junction of lines out to Granada in the east, Córdoba in the north, Algeciras in the west, and Malaga in the south. The town is around 450 metres above sea level, on the northern edge of the Sierra de Xemenea mountain range, which climbs to a height of between 1200 and 1400 metres. Our first scene is from around 3 kilometres to the south of the town at just after 10 to 8 in the morning, as the first northbound train of the day, the 0700 Talgo service from Malaga to Madrid, rounds the curve behind electric loco number 269411. Class 598 tilting DMUs are also seen. This one forms train IR3901, the 745 from Malaga to Sevilla. The date is Thursday 12th of July 2007. The scenery around this part of southern Spain is extremely hilly, with low mountain ranges separating the inland plains from the coast. Here, locomotive number 269412 heads another northbound service. This time it is the 715 from Malaga to Barcelona, a journey which will take just over 13.5 hours. Heading past the town cement works is Class 592 unit number 592058, forming the first westbound departure of the day on this line. The train is the 7:15 from Granada to Algeciras, a journey which takes 4.5 hours. The cement works here generates 5 trains of stone each day. These work mainly to and from the port of Malaga. At 09:15, 319335 heads an empty stone train bound for Malaga. To the south of the town and looking north, we see another Class 598 tilting diesel unit, forming the 720 from Sevilla to Malaga. We now move to the town itself, and with the station in the background, this Class 592 heads the 7:15 from Algeciras to Granada. Looking down at the station in a southwesterly direction, we see Class 269 number 269404 heading the 9:15 from Malaga to Madrid. The frequency of rail services in Spain means that you can be waiting for quite a long time between trains. Generally, services tend to run early in the morning with a sparse daytime service before picking up again in the evening. A familiar face here in the shape of an ex-BR Class 58 diesel, which is sitting outside one of the maintenance sheds built as part of the supply base used for the construction of the new high-speed line from Cordoba to Malaga. Using the eastern part of the triangle, a Class 319 diesel, number 319306, is seen heading this service from Madrid to Granada. There were only 5 freight trains seen in our 6-hour stop here. This one, headed by 269111, came up from Malaga and passes by at just before 10 to 12. Finally, seen taking the Granada line, 319302, heads by at 1:30 with a trainload of chemical tanks. If you don't mind the wait between trains, this location can be quite rewarding. The second part of our feature on the railways around Rouen sees us take a look at activity around the city's main marshalling yard at Sotteville. Just south of the city centre, the line crosses the River Seine by way of this impressive bridge. Coming into view are 2 Class X4500 diesel units, the first one a refurbished example, the second still in its original 1960s condition. The city is dominated by the Notre Dame Cathedral, which was constructed between 1202 and 1880. At 151 metres, the building was actually the tallest in the world between the short period of 1876 to 1880, but was almost destroyed on D-Day due to Allied bombing. Coming off the bridge are 2 BB63000 diesels, number 64014 and 63736. This type of locomotive is now on the endangered list, with many now being withdrawn or sold on to private operators. Deliveries of new classes of locomotive to SNCF will only serve to exacerbate this situation. Crossing the bridge in this view, taken on 18th of July 2007, is a pair of Class X4900 3-car DMUs, now used on local services in the area. These are expected to face withdrawal over the next few years, as new AGC diesel units are delivered to the region. It's not only new diesel units which are threatening the old order. Many hundreds of electric units, such as this, are entering service right across France. This example arrives at Sotteville station, adjacent to the yard. Note in the distance other new trains in the siding awaiting their own entry into traffic. The area has been heavily hit by the downturn in the amount of freight that is now carried by SNCF. The yards are now almost empty of traffic. What trains that do run are usually block trains of bulk commodities. Here, 27085 heads an oil train out of the complex at 8:10 in the morning. Some Class BB15000 electrics have now been drafted in from Paris to Strasbourg services, having subsequently been replaced by TGVs working on the new LGV-S line. The BB15000s have replaced some of the older BB16000s, which work in the area. Sotteville is still the main diesel motive power depot for this area of France, and so locomotives for maintenance are a common feature. Here 63933 leads 67463. Seen on the depot are brand new BB60000s, contrasting to the rather worn appearance of a BB63000 standing just in front. Despite the lack of freight, which was once a feature of yesteryear, there is still always plenty going on. Viewed from the road overbridge at the north end of the complex, number 27143 heads north for Le Havre. These locomotives now dominate the freight working scene in the area. There is a small stabling point for electric locomotives at the north end of the yard. Here 27157 is about to undertake its next turn of duty. This is 67459. BB27065 arrives from the north with this trip freight from Le Havre. Overall on the freight side, there were only around 2 movements seen each hour. Another view of the depot here as old and new locos are seen awaiting their next turn of duty, as Y8188 runs onto the fueling point. Finally, we see endangered BB16000 class number 16028 heading north with a train from Paris. For how much longer will scenes like this be an everyday occurrence? Not that long is the answer. Vranovice is situated on the busy main line linking the Czech Republic with Austria and Slovakia, and as a result sees a considerable number of trains passing through it. Many of the principal main lines in the Czech Republic have received substantial rebuilds as part of money spent through EU subsidies and regeneration projects. With the infrastructure being replaced, it will only be time before substantial locomotive and train orders will see the replacement of many of the country's existing fleets. Our opening scene shows one of the hourly stopping services between Břeclav and Brno. The train is formed of 1970 built 560-005. This was followed by 242-262 heading for Brno. We saw 5 freights in our 90-minute stopover. Despite its looks, this small shunter was only built as recently as 1992. It is seen here together with a brake van, ready to work down the nearby branch line. Finally, 242-229 arrives with a stopping service for Breclav. 86 of these locomotives were built between 1975 and 1980. At least 4 have since been withdrawn due to accident damage. Schwarzach-St. Wirt is situated in the west of the country and lies at the junction of main lines from Salzburg in the north to Villach in the south and Innsbruck to the west. Traffic levels are high, with around 130 passenger and 120 freight services passing through the station on a typical weekday. For the photographer, the west end of the station holds out the best prospects for capturing material, and this is where we concentrate our camera work. We begin on 11th July 2006 as 1142651 departs with an evening stopping service for Vorgl. Against the setting sun are this pair of 1116s, number 225 and 223. They are seen coming off the Villach main line at just after 7:30. During the summer of 2006, a number of multi-voltage Class 189 locos were hired in from Dispelok. This is 189906, seen piloting 1116134. The hire contract for these locos has now come to an end. The locos were mainly employed as additional traction for trains between here and Villach to the south of the Tauern Pass. also now very much on the hit list, are the Class 4010 intercity units. Withdrawal of these trains is due to take place over the forthcoming year or so. This is 4010-029. There is also some good vantage points at the other end of the station, such as this view of 1142606 leaving the station in May 2000. This is 1142587, seen at the west end of the station during a run-round manoeuvre. A class which has now disappeared from regular mainline use is the Class 1110. This example, number 110023, departs with a trainload of lorries bound for the Villach route. Number 1142-563 is on the rear. Back to 11th of July 2006 and 1116, 119 and 253 double-head this freight and are about to head up the grade towards Bad Hofgastein on the Villach route. Finally, this local trip freight arrives behind 1163009, one of 13 of the class allocated to Salzburg depot, and which are a common sight here. The former East German town of Zeitz is located just south of a huge concentration of drift mines producing brown coal. Since the fall of the Iron Curtain, local industry has been severely hit, with many branch lines and factories closing as they lost their competitive edge. However, coal is still produced in the region and forms a staple freight commodity that is still handled by rail in the area. We take a contrasting look at activity in April 1997 and September 2006. We begin at Groß-Dalzig station just to the south of Leipzig as Class 628 number 628584 drifts into view with a stopping service from Leipzig to Gera. Ten years later, there is a complete contrast, with similar services now in the hands of new Class 642 units, such as this example seen entering the station at Bornitz. As already mentioned, coal is still produced in the area, and one of the longest standing flows is between the mines at Piegau and a factory at Musselweiz. This flow runs 7 days per week and involves 2 loaded trains per day. Seen in charge of train 61905 on 27th September 2006, the 1036 from Piegau is 232258. The former freight yards at Zeitz are now largely disused and overgrown with vegetation. Here a Class 628 climbs out of Zeitz with a local train down the single track line to Nuremberg. On 26th of April 1997, the station at Zeitz displays a good array of semaphore signalling. This is the scene looking north. A Class 772 unit, dating from the mid-1960s, passes through with an empty stock working. These units have since been withdrawn. And what about this for something unusual? Electric loco number 120128 is seen on the rear of this early morning intercity service from Zwickau to Leipzig. A Class 232 was the main train loco. This Class 628 is seen at Crossen, whilst the scene after this has another Class 232 arriving with a train for Leipzig. The branch east of Zeitz to Musselweiz is our new location, as the morning coal train from Piegau is seen top and tail by 232-300 and 569. The location is Remsdorf. bringing us right up to date is 232, 294 and 258, with the morning train from Pigou. The other train that runs is through here at 5 AM in the morning. On this occasion, steady drizzle made the rail conditions very poor. Oh, and I'll apologise in advance about the umbrella. And finally we return to 26th of April 1997 as Class 58 number 583047 is seen in charge of a mid-morning freight bound for Musselwitz. Again, slippery rail conditions added to the excitement. Our last section tracks the progress of a BB67300 diesel, working a local passenger service from Marseille to Miramar across the spectacular swing bridge at Martigues. The date is 6th of July 2007. We would like to thank you once again for watching this edition of European Railway.